born with a twisted body and a slow mind. He was 12 years old and in the 2nd grade. And the biggest problem was that his teacher, Miss Miller, could hardly handle it. She had 18 other students to take care of, and Jeremy sat there most of the day, drooling and fidgeting and making noises. He was constantly distracting all the other children. She did not know what to do. She would look at him and say, "Jeremy, you'll never read, you'll never write, and I don't even know why you're in my class." But it was a Christian school, and his parents wanted him in a Christian school. But the matter just got out of hand because the children just constantly looked at Jeremy and watched him as he made this noise and as he drooled and as he fidgeted in his seat. She gave him clay to work with. She gave him paper and pencils. She gave him crayons and books. But it just didn't keep him quiet. So finally, she called Jeremy's family in, his mom and dad. The Fosters came and sat in the empty classroom. And she said, "You know, Jeremy just belongs in a special ed class. He needs to be with his own kind that are slow and can't learn and that is physically handicapped." And Mr. Foster said, "But there's no school like that around here. We would have to take him an hour away. And if we took Jeremy out of the school, it would be such a shock to him." Mrs. Foster just sat in her seat and used her hanky and cried. The teacher said, "But it's not fair. It's not fair to my other students. I just don't know what to do with him." They talked a little more, but really nothing got resolved. The Fosters left. Miss Miller sat there looking out the window. Snow was on the ground, and she felt like her heart was as cold as the snow. She felt so bad. She said, "Here I am complaining about Jeremy when he's their only child and he has a terminal illness, knowing that Jeremy would not live long." So she began to pray, "Lord, just give me patience and help the other students that they would pay attention to me and not Jeremy." She felt somewhat better, and she purposed in her heart that she would really try her best to be patient with Jeremy. The winter went through, and she still battled it. And Jeremy one day got out of his class. He drug his body up to her desk, and he said, "Miss Miller, I love you." And when she looked at him, and the other children kind of giggled and laughed, but it touched her heart. And she said, "Lord, help me to love Jeremy as he loves me." She said, "That's really sweet of you, Jeremy. Now go take your seat in the class." He drug his body back to the seat and began to color again. Winter passed and springtime came. And it was nearing Easter time. Miss Miller told all of the children about the death and the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. She told how that the men crucified him, and he loved everybody. They crucified him, and they put him in the tomb. But one day, 3 days later, he came forth and was alive. The children just seemed to comprehend it, and they were so excited about the story. And when she looked at Jeremy, his face was just dull. His eyes were blurred, like he didn't comprehend anything. Right after that, a few days after that, it was going to be spring break and Easter. So Miss Miller brought in a basket. And in this basket, she had Easter eggs. And she said, "Now I'm going to give you all an egg. And I want you to go home and find something that is new life. Something around your house that represents new life." Because that's what Jesus gives us, you know. He gives us new life when we really get saved. And when we're really born again, He gives us a new life till we want to please Him and serve Him. And the children were all excited. They put their little eggs in their backpacks. And she gave one to Jeremy. And Jeremy looked at the egg, rolled it around, clapped it a few times, and put it in his pocket. She said, oh dear, Jeremy probably doesn't understand. I'll have to call his parents tonight and explain to them what he's supposed to do. So that night after she got home, her kitchen sink was clogged up, and then she burnt her pie, and she had to run to the store. She had to grade papers and iron clothes, and she forgot all about calling Jeremy's parents. The next morning, in came 19 children, and they all placed their little eggs in her basket. And so they were all excited. They wanted her to open up the eggs, and no, you know, we have our devotions after lunch. And so all the children could hardly wait till after lunch. It was time to open up the eggs. And so she began to open up the eggs. And she was kind of excited too what the children would find to put new life in there. And so when she opened it up, she pulled it open and she said, oh, it's a little twig with new leaves. Oh, Sally raised her hand and said, Miss Miller, that's mine. That's mine. I put that in there. I got it out of the bush out my front yard. Oh, that is new life. It's wonderful when the leaves come back on the trees. It shows forth new life after a dead winter. And you know, boys and girls, when we're in sin, we're like dead. We're dead, and we're just empty. And there's nothing that makes us happy. But when Christ comes in, he gives us new life. And so she picked up another egg. And they were all on the edge of their seats. Which egg is going to be theirs? And she opened up an egg, and she saw some dandelions. Oh, Lisa said, that's mine, that's mine. Miss Miller, the dandelions look dead. But she knew it was new life when she put them in that egg. And Miss Miller said, that's right. Little flowers that grow, the trees that bud, they just say, oh, it's springtime, it's new life. And that's what Jesus gives us, new life. She picked up another egg. This time she shook it. Sounds funny. She opened it up, and there was some bark off of a tree. She looked at it real close and says, oh, it's got moss on it. Well, Daddy said, that's mine. My dad went and got that for me. It's got moss on it, Miss Miller. Yes, I see it, Daddy. I'm glad you got it. That is new life. She picked up another egg, and she opened it, and it was empty. Oh, dear. It must be Jeremy's egg. And I forgot to call his parents. He just didn't understand. So instead of embarrassing him, she just slid the egg aside. Right away, Jeremy stood up and said, Miss Miller, that's my egg. Aren't you going to talk about it? Well, Jeremy, your egg is empty. Oh, I know, but so was the tomb. So was the tomb. And she said, why was the tomb empty, Jeremy? Because mean men beat up Jesus and took him and put him on a cross and killed him and put him in a black empty cave. But that cave is empty, and so is my egg. And tears began to run down her cheeks. Jeremy did understand. He understood it maybe more than all the other little boys and girls in the class. She said, you're right, Jeremy. The tomb is empty. And that's what Easter is all about. All the children had their little eggs read, and they went home for Easter break. 2 months later, Jeremy got real sick, and he went to heaven. During the funeral, on Jeremy's casket were 18 little eggs, and they were all empty. I am the resurrection and the life, and he that believes